Welcome back, Geometry ninth grade. So spring break is over. Now we have our last marking period. Unfortunately, it's been long time, about a month already since we've been at the building together and learned the concepts and actually be in the classroom. Some of you guys might be getting a little sick of the remote learning at this point. I know I am. But also at the same time, I'm enjoying the time at home and really being able to just take this approach, like this new learning style method, and take this learning not for granted and really learning how to do online lessons and things like that. So I find it quite interesting, but it's really hard in students' perspective because they really need to have that person in the classroom or person next to you to really just help you out, which you guys all know how I really like to help you guys out with your math stuff. Starting on the marking period 4, I just want to go over a couple of things because usually you know that if I were in the classroom right now with you guys, even though the marking period should have been over by March 27th, I would have changed the seat arrangements with you guys, and this would be the seating arrangements you guys will have for the year. Will be kissing goodbye for all of our past, the marking periods, and really focus to make sure we bring our grades up for the entire year, and those kind of things will be focused on that. But I want to go over some policy changes for marking period 4 because I'm not there with you with this remote learning. I had about hundreds of emails from all of my classes regarding the grade. And this class is no exception. And I totally understand. Even if I was in the classroom, you guys would still have that those questions and things like that, and which I get because I had that from marking period 1 and 2. The only problem is that I was usually able to solve those issues pretty easily by asking you guys to stay after school and just wrapping up something for me. But we can't do that because we're not in school. Which means all the remakes, the retakes, the whatever whatnot has to be done online. And my emails were flooded. I had to go back like 9 pages before, on the bottom, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I had to go 9 pages before to find out your email. And just take a look at your work by taking a picture. So some of the pictures are not clear, can't really read what you're saying. There's so many issues that I'm running into this. So to make it easier for both you and I, we just need to be a little bit more proactive in terms of timing issues. The first thing I need you to read is this. Make sure that the due date is kept. I tend to make the due date around 4 p.m., 6 p.m., or even 11:59 p.m. depending on the situation. Most likely, I want to make sure that everything is done before the nighttime, like afternoon time, to have you guys really be attentive to what time frame you guys are supposed to be working at. I don't want you guys to be procrastinating this until like 8, 7, 8, 9 p.m. and then start working. I know that some of you guys might be night owls and prefer to work at night, but technically speaking, you guys know that the schools are in session in the morning. And so you guys should be in Google Classroom in the morning. One thing I'll make sure I promise you is that since the NJSLA is over, I told you this already, your work will be significantly lower than what you guys are used to. For today, you guys will be having like 4 problems to work on. We'll do very bits by bits, and we'll be prolonging this topic more than I need it to be. You guys are lucky because geometry, algebra 2, those 2 NJSLAs are canceled, but for Algebra 1, they still have to take it. So your friends in Mr. Altaile's class, they still have to take the NJSLA test via online. You guys don't have to worry about that. So you guys are in a much less pressurized format than these kids because Algebra 1 is a graduation requirement, as you already know. For any excuses regarding health and other personal issues, I need an email from parents and admins. You can't just tell me on the email, oh, Mr. Kim, I did not do this on this particular day because I was sick. Sorry, it's a 0. Every classwork from this point onwards, if it's late, I'm just going to give you a 0. Suck it up. That's just the way it's going to be. I was really, really exhausted from looking at all the classworks that you guys had to do, and I had to regrade it and give you guys a 90 for it. I don't know how many times that happened in this class, maybe not as much. But I gave you guys 90 if it was late for classwork from the marking period 3. From this point onwards, I'm just going to give you 0. By today, let's say 8 of you guys did this work, but 2 of you guys didn't do it. I'm giving you those 2 of you guys a 0, and that's it. No questions asked. Every late quizzes or test from this point onwards will be a 50. This is a very crucial thing because if you tell me that for classwork, guys, like, you guys already know that that's about, like, I don't know, like 10% of your grade. So even if you miss it, having a 0 on it will not make a huge impact. For tests, it's 30%. So if you don't do it on that day, if you have any excuses, you better provide me with some admins or teachers, admins or your parents confirming it, because I'm giving you a 50. Don't complain to me because I'm going over this right now as of April 14th. And quizzes, you guys know that there are 2 retakes, so there might be a little bit of a cushioning with that, but this is 60% of the grade, which is vast majority of the grade is coming from. Tests, if you guys miss it, if you guys don't do it on that day, I'm sorry, it's 50, no matter what. I will give you plenty of time to make sure you guys can work on it, and it's not even that bad because I'm not going to give you like one of those tests that from before where I give you 15 questions, you're selecting 10 of those. I'm not giving you any of that stuff because NJSLA is canceled, we're not in school, and that kind of thing. For you to say that you couldn't finish the test because of blah blah A, B, and C, those A, B, and C they're all excuses. I'm not taking them. Even if you get 100, I'm giving you a highest score of 50. And this is really also important. Do not, I cannot emphasize it enough, do not send me an email for late submission or excuses. We'll be able to retake up to 2 quizzes I already told you, and that'll be it. Do not put all the late assignments towards the end and submit it for partial credit. I'm not giving you any of that stuff for classwork only because that's a 0. Also, every single work will be handwritten. Sometimes I will tell you specifically in the instructions whether it could be Google Docs or not. If it could be Google Docs, that's because it requires no work for it. And I just need you guys to just work on Google Docs and submit it to me ASAP. But most of the time, I do need to see your work, and I just need to see you write it handwritten. Last marking period, I saw a lot of you guys have the same answers and have the same explanations. Now, I was very, very generous. I could just give you guys all 0s for it because I know some of you guys copy from each other. You guys have the exact same answers in a different wording or setting. If you guys were to really work on this on your own, would you guys really be able to have that? That's my question. So that part I can't check. So if you guys are being smart about this, then I can't really catch you on it. It's an integrity issues, but what I'm really more focused on is that are you guys finishing this on time? Okay? If you guys are not even able to finish this on time after copying from each other, then I'm sorry, it's a 0. So collaborate with each other. When I say collaborate, I think you guys all know what that means. Quotation collaborate, hashtag collaborate. Okay? So whatever you guys want to call it. Make sure you get it done on time. If you guys have any questions, just please send me an email or just make a comment on the video. Today I'm going to go over one example and you guys are going to be doing 4 questions. Today it's just going to be simply probability and it's going to be quite simple to do. A student-made target includes 2 overlapping squares. I will also give you this picture. Actually, no. I was going to give you the slides, but that's not necessary. You guys will be finding the probability of geometric figures. Now, what I mean by that, it's going to be simply like this, but let me just read this first. Assume that a sticky ball, this guy, is thrown at the target is equally likely to land anywhere on the target. What is the probability the ball lands inside one or both of the squares? Okay, so this is a tricky part because it says, what is the probability that the ball lands inside one or both of the squares? What does that mean? Well, it means that it's really talking about this little shape, right? You don't want to find out the yellow and blue and add them together, yellow plus blue. Now, why do I not want to do that? Well, because you're overlapping this twice. You're counting that twice where there's just one of these guys. So what you want to do is you want to find a probability of yellow, okay? And then probability of this little, like, I don't know, L-shaped thing. That's a little bit like, like reflected. This shape plus that yellow shape should give you this entire shape in which the ball wants to land. out of this entire rectangular space that this is dealing with. All this is talking about is finding the probability in terms of area. That's the main idea. And so how do you find the area of a square or rectangle? So you guys should know is length times width. What is the area of this big rectangle? It's 1200 square centimeters. Now, what is the area of this shape right here? Well, there are really a lot of ways in which you guys can do that. For me, the easiest way that I can think of is if this is 10 and this is 10, we all know that this is 100 and this is also 100, right? But you guys don't want to add, 100 plus 100 is 200, right? No, because like I said, this is overlapped once. So you can subtract one of these away because it's a square plus a square minus that little overlapping part, because this would just give you the rest of it, right? Because if I were to take this square and subtract this part away, then I will get that little L shape that we have been talking about from before. So we want to add these two big squares and subtract the little square. Well, how do I find the area of this little square? That's 5 and that's 5, so that has to be 25. So it's 100 plus 100 minus 25. What will that give you? That will give me 175 in total. Now, what's my final answer going to be? What is the probability? Well, probability is always translate that as a fraction. So what that's going to give you is I'm going to have the area of this part right here. Not two squares like this, overlapping and then just eliminating one of them. That's what I want. So that's going to be 175. That's the proportion that I want out of the entire rectangle, which is that guy. This is the entire of it. So that is going to be my answer. I'm going to zoom in right here. That is going to be my answer. Now there's two ways in which you guys can write down the answers. I do not want you to write down this fraction. I want you guys to either reduce the fraction as much as possible, because 175 divided by 1200 either gives you a decimal of 0.1458. That's 14.6% approximately. Or you guys can translate that into a fraction and say that's reduced into 7 out of 48. You guys know, in terms of, if we had our calculator at the class, you know what to press, F to decimals or those, that kind of thing. But these two will be the acceptable answers in which I need you to have. Okay? For the next question here, I have a video game screen is a rectangle with dimensions 34 and 20 centimeters. I need you guys to pause the video now, and I would like you to solve this on your own. This is also the question on your homework page, so you guys can also work on that. But I gave it to you, but you guys can work on it there. And pause the video so I can go over this with you at the end. Make sure you draw the picture, please. Drawing the picture is the very first thing I need you to do for this assignment. Okay. If you guys need some help with this, let me give you a little bit of a scenario. It's a rectangle with dimensions 34 and 20. So like before, I'm going to write 34 and 20 if this is the video game screen. A star shape on the screen is made up of two circles with radius of 6 and overlapping area of 20 degrees, 20 square centimeters. So what that means is a star shape looks like this, just like the one here if it's two overlapping squares. This is the overlapping circles. But this overlapping area, that part is 20 square centimeters. They actually gave me that as an information. A black hole appears randomly on the screen. What is the probability that it appears within the starship? So same thing. This black hole will be an equivalence of the ball from the previous question. Like it's going to land somewhere. It's going to land somewhere. And where is it going to land? What's the probability that it's going to land on this shape right here? This entire thing right here. When the radius of this was 6 centimeters. Well, how do I find the area of this little 8, like a figure 8 shape? Remember, it was the area of the bigger circle plus the area of the bigger circle, but we need to subtract this overlapping part away, because that's how I will be able to solve for this area of kind of like a snowman shape, right? This little shape here. and it's that out of this entire TV screen, which is 34 times 20. Well, let's first do that. 34 times 20 gives me 680. That's the entirety of it. Now, how do I find the area of a circle? If you guys don't remember, it's pi r squared. Pi r squared. Okay, so I'm going to leave it here. I would like you to solve this as the end question for your homework, and please have the picture drawn so it will help you how to solve this. Hope you guys are still staying safe out there. I will post videos for you one at a time, and we'll do it just a little bit at a time each day like this. Thank you very much, and I'll see you guys again.